Howdy everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today I'm taking a look at a giant game called Monuments. I'm not kidding, it's a Monuments, a deluxe edition. I have not seen the non-deluxe edition, but this game is big and it's about building monuments. You're going to build physical monuments in pieces and go around and control parts of the world. Like a different, civilization game. So let's take a look and we'll be right back. In this game, each person is going to choose their civilization that they're going to play. Although it's not really open-ended, you're going to pick, if you play with 2 players, you have to play Greece and Egypt. If you play with 3 players, well, I guess, you can also play Maya and Inca. When you play 3 players, though, then you're going to play with different parts. You're going to cover parts of the map and not use parts of the map. These are your troops and buildings and things that you have. Oddly enough, though, 2 of the armies are in brown and gray, which incidentally is the exact same color as the resources. I'm not sure why that's the case. And they have a really funky resource here. This is a boat, but also it's a bridge. And this bread here definitely looks like it came out of Spirited Away and is making a weird face at you. But anyhow, you're going to take your army, you're going to take your world, and then you're also going to look at your civilization board. Now, I'm not going to go into full detail in this game, but I'm going to give you a little bit of an idea of how it plays. And a lot of it starts here. You are attempting to complete quests. Like this quest here says, control 2 mountains, have 1 town. You do that, you get a point. You'll notice there's a -0 over here. That means if you don't finish it by the end of the game, you would lose that many points. For example, this one, destroy 2 enemy units in a single battle. You get 2 points, but you lose 2 points if you don't do it by the end of the game. This one's have 2 armies, have 2 navies. You get a point, but you lose 2 points because I guess it's easier to do. And you'll keep track of your completed quests here. There's a lot of different ways to get points. One of the biggest ways is by building your monument. So each person will take a different monument. So here we have the lighthouse. I picked this one to show you because it's the easiest one to build. And as the game goes by, you are building the different levels of it. We also have the Colossus of Rhodes, which is a little trickier to build. We have Machu Picchu and the Lost City over here. So you are trying to build that. You're trying to get different points. There's points you get for upgrading your cards, and you get points for having things on the board. Each person has a scorecard here. You can play that you score points based on different things that you control at the end of the game. You can play a vanilla scoring card where everyone scores the same way, or you can play asymmetrical where you get more points for one thing, but you'll get fewer points for something else. Each person can start with a special ability, which will give you some special units, in which I think are not particularly balanced. And then you have a setup card. This setup card tells you the units that you start with in your supply. This matters because as you build levels of your monument, you will get more added to your supply, and sometimes you get different resources or get quest cards as you build the different levels. And you'll get bonus levels here. There are other things that will give you bonuses. And like I might say, hey, my armies are +1 power, +1 movement on land. Now, the whole game, though, is revolving around these cards that you're going to play on your turn. On a player's turn, they are either going to play one of their cards, or they pick all their cards up into their hand. So real quickly, I'll talk about different cards. This one lets you upgrade a card. Each card has 2 resources on it that when you play this card, you can pay those 2 resources, and then you turn it around in your hand, and the card is better. For example, the upgrade a card, which is kind of a weird thing to say, lets you upgrade cards for only one of those 2 resources. Now, how do you remember if a card's upgraded or not? Because you keep putting them back in your hand, you're just going to have to remember that. Here you can train different military units. What are the costs of the military units? For some reason, they're listed on the back of the card. You can do it before it's upgraded. Here you can trade resources with the supply. There are various resources from controlling different spots on the board, and you can upgrade that for a better thing, 1-to-1. Move 2 units or move 3 units. How far do units move? Again, for some reason, they put that on the back of the card. Here you produce on tiles you control. Tiles will have different resources. A good way to get those resources. The amount of resources you get is based on the number of workers. You can also build a specific building to get more resources. Speaking of that, build a building or repair one that someone else hurt. What are the building costs? Again, on the back of the card. Get more workers. If there's 2 workers there, get another worker. Build your monument. This is the big one here. And when you build your monument, you're going to have to pay a whole pile of resources again. And I don't know why they did this. It drove me crazy when playing the game because you turn it over to look at the cost, but you have to remember you can't, it's not upgraded yet. So anyhow, monuments are very expensive. They require you to control a certain number of tiles and have a lot of resources on the board. You can attack other people to take control of the territory. And those are the different action cards that you have. And like I said, they can all be upgraded. Other than that, you are building up, I'm sorry, the lighthouse is down here. You're building up your monuments. You are spreading your troops around the board and building different buildings. There are rivers that you cannot cross unless you build one of these amazing bridges. Although these also double as barges so that you can put your troops in them and sail around the board like that. There's a little bit more going on, but essentially you're just trying to grow, expand, get more stuff until you eventually, the game will end when someone triggers one of the end game conditions, which is usually a number of hexes controlled. And then we go by the scorecard and you get the points from that. And whoever has the most points is the winner. So the production here is okay. Like I said, having units the same color as resources is weird, and these trays, they look nice, right? But I mean, look at all this wasted space. This box is ridiculously huge for everything that goes inside it. The board is busy. It's hard to see the different resources. The cards are busy. I already mentioned I don't like flipping those cards over. It just, the rule book is okay. It's not a particularly well-produced game, but it's a big one. The problem with Monuments, though, is in its gameplay. It's that it's trying to be everything else. This game is clearly influenced by Scythe, by Concordia, and other games. Concordia has the cards that you play, and when you're done playing the cards, you have to do an action to put them all back in your hand. I like that concept. That's an interesting concept. And then upgrading them gives you special abilities. That's more of a new concept. I know that Ark Nova's done it, but this game was designed before Ark Nova came out. So that part's interesting. Although, like I said, it's a little fiddly doing that. And I found that in this game, if you upgrade your cards quickly, especially, it seems like you should upgrade the upgrade card because then you upgrade the other cards even faster. And it gives you if someone says, I'm not going to upgrade cards, I'm going to do other things, you're probably going to do better than them. The most points in the game come from building the monument, which is fine. It's the different monuments, add some look to the game, although, again, this is a neat game, right? It's supposed to be this big civilization game, and these monuments are okay miniatures compared to other games that are the same. But back to the mechanisms, the other thing here is the resources. You spread these workers out. You want to spread them out. When you produce, you pick 2 hexes. Those hexes produce based on the number of workers in those hexes. This is straight out of Scythe, including the fact that one of the buildings also produces when you put it there. So that's kind of interesting, but what does it add that's new? And then the worst problem this game has is the combat. Because if I come and attack you and take your territories away, you get worse and I get better. And in this type of game, there's no real way to recover from that. No tricks up your sleeve. If I take your stuff and you take mine, then I'm going to be producing more resources so that I can continue to beat on you. And in a game that's this long, it's a 2-hour type game, that feels like too much. And if you play the nice version of this, you never have to attack each other ever. So don't. And if you play a 3-player version of this, someone's in the middle between the two of you, and therefore in a tougher way. Like, let's say you play 3 players and you play Egypt and Greece and one of the folks overseas. I think it's the ones in South America. I don't remember. I think that's the third one. Well, the folks over there can build up, and they don't have to worry about people attacking them easily, while Greece and Egypt are right in each other's faces. That mixed with the bonus cards that you're trying to get and the quest, nothing feels cool. It all feels like a pale imitation, and that's the problem with Monuments. The entire game feels like an imitation of other games. Why should I play this when the amazing Scythe exists? Why should I bother building monuments when I can play Lords of Hellas and build these amazing monuments? Why should I go around completing different quest cards when other Civilization games exist like Mosaic that do that better? This feels, it's very, I feel like stuck between rails here. I have to be Greece, I have to be Egypt. But the tiles are so big, it's like, I guess I'll go out and get resources. I'll use these resources to build workers to get more resources. I'll upgrade my cards. And none of these mechanisms, when I went through the rules, sounded particularly onerous, and they're not. The game itself isn't terribly unfun. But my final rating is a 5, because as much as some of the stuff of it's interesting, the whole package isn't well done. Like, I like these things, I like these things, I like this, but I don't like the combat. It's not interesting at all. I like the cards, but they're fiddly. I don't like being forced to be a specific civilization stuck on a board, but then not have any really traits of that civilization other than a monument. And so, it's forgettable. It really is. There's a lot of amazing games out there, and this is like the best I can compare this to is someone wearing a really, really flashy but cheap suit. And people look at that and go, well, you're trying to look nice, but yeah, it's still a cheap suit. That's kind of what Monuments is. It's a cheap suit. And I wanted to like it more because the games it's based on, Concordia and Scythe, are amazing, but this game, it's not. So anyway, I'm Tom Vasel, and that is my review of Monuments. We'll see you next time here on the Dice Tower.